right. I think I want to go ahead and get started with that Andrew Cuomo story because last year, Andrew Cuomo resigned. That was after there was evidence shown that he did commit sexual misconduct towards women that worked with him, that were part of his staff. Um, and even before then, he was trying to say that it wasn't true. Then he had to admit that it was true after evidence was revealed. And then he resigned and he gave that cringe resignation speech. I don't really think he got it. He tried to make excuses that his behavior was due to the fact that he was Italian. That was laughable to me and a lot of you. So there was one incident, though, that he did not receive punishment for, and that was the nursing home deaths. And I want to go ahead and share this article because this is the one that I was afraid that he would get away from. This is the one that I felt like everyone was talking about the sexual misconduct cases, which they should. But at the same time, I felt like this kind of was buried, right? They weren't talking about this enough. And by everyone, I'm talking about mainstream media here, not independent media. So listen to this. This came out. Manhattan DA dropped got to change the language. Censorship. Manhattan DA dropped the 19 nursing home probe of Cuomo. This is exactly what I was afraid of. I was afraid that this was going to happen. So here we go. The Manhattan District Attorney Office has dropped a probe into Andrew Cuomo over allegations he mishandled nursing home during the initial outbreak. The ex-governor's lawyer said Monday. Cuomo's spokesperson forwarded a statement from Elkin Abramowitz, an attorney who had repped the governor's office under Cuomo. I was contacted today by the head of the elder care unit from Manhattan District Attorney's Office, who informed me they have closed its investigation involving the executive chamber and nursing homes. I was told that after a thorough investigation, as we have said all along, there was no evidence to suggest that any laws were broken. The Post reported last August that the state health department had retained an outside law firm to deal with inquiries regarding nursing home decisions from the Manhattan DA's office, as well as the state attorney general, Letitia James, and the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District. The Manhattan prosecutor office, now headed by new DA Alvin Bragg, declined comment. Of course he did. I mean, why would he want to comment at this point? They kill me with this. So here we go. Hold on. I think I skipped down a little too far. Okay. The probe was initiated by ex-DA Cyrus Vance Jr., whose term ended New Year's Eve, and it was under Vance that the investigation was quashed last Thursday, a source told the Post. So let me get this straight, ladies and gentlemen. DA Cyrus Vance, his term ended on New Year's Eve. And he was the one who ended the investigation. So does anyone else find it a bit odd or a bit strange that he ended the investigation and then he quit? How does this happen? How do people get away with this? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I don't think that I am. Cuomo faced fierce criticism for a March 25th, 2020 directive by his health department that ordered nursing homes to admit infected patients being discharged from hospitals. Despite the facility's vulnerable populations, independent reports claimed the policy caused more deaths. So let me explain what was going on here. Obviously, during this time, March 2020, let's try to go back there and remember what was going on at that time. This was around the time when we were kind of at the height of this pandemic. I don't know about you guys. That's when they sent us to go work from home. We couldn't go back on campus, right? So this is during the part, especially in New York. New York's numbers were through the roof at that time. So essentially, you had nursing home patients who were sent to the ER. And that's pretty much where a lot of people were going at during that time, right? This was before we had like the jab and all of that. So they were discharging patients that really were not ready to be discharged. So you discharge those patients from the nursing home and then you send them back to the nursing home. Now, you just took them from a location where they had the medical equipment to help them at the time. They were still trying to figure this all out. Just keep that in mind. But they had the medical equipment to help them. You took them back to the nursing homes. Now they're in a closed in space. I know I worked in a nursing home before, so I know what it's like. They're in a closed in space. A lot of times in these nursing homes, they are sharing rooms. To get a private room is very expensive. So the one that I worked at, if you had a room that you shared, it was like $3,000 a month to share a room. If you wanted a private room, that was like $6,000 a month. It is very expensive. So imagine going back into that space where there are more people in the nursing home. Don't forget the CNAs. Don't forget the nurses. Don't forget the people that work at the front desk. You have all of them too. And so now they're going to infect more people. Long story short, a lot of people died because they were discharged before they were ready to be discharged. Now, I don't know if you remember back then, but there was an issue at the New York hospitals where they were running out of hospital beds, right? Like I said, during that point, New York City had the highest numbers. Like it was through the roof, right? But the fact that they were sent home before they should have been sent home, those people could have survived. And this is the part that I feel that they're leaving out. They were not ready to be discharged. And then Cuomo lied about the numbers. Let's all go back and try to remember. Oh, yeah, we handled this situation. Remember, he was being praised and applauded on CNN and MSNBC for how he handled the situation in New York City. And then it came back that he wasn't being truthful about those numbers. He was saying, oh, yes, we got the deaths down to this number. And that wasn't true. So it's almost like this was hidden. And had it not been revealed, how many of us would know about this right now? We would have just believed what he said, which was told to us by CNN, which was told to us by MSNBC. This is why it's important that you listen to independent media. Now, he got caught and the information got out, but that isn't always the case. So I want to go back to the article. So Cuomo has faced fierce criticism for a March 25th, 2020 directive by his public health department that ordered nursing homes to admit infected patients being discharged from hospitals. Despite the facility's vulnerable populations, and again, I worked in a nursing home before, you're dealing with people who are, they're older, a lot of them 60 years old plus, right? And that is the most vulnerable group, whether it's the flu or whether it's the 1-9. Independent reports claim the policy caused more deaths, and word that Bragg has dropped the case against Cuomo infuriated family members who lost their loved ones while in long-term care facilities. And here's a picture here that you can see of people protesting outside. She should be alive right now. Her death is on your hands. Here's a sign that says, I died alone. And they have pictures as well of some of the patients that were there. Letting Cuomo off the hook is a bad way to start 2022. Now, this is coming from Yvonne J, who's the co-founder of Voices for Seniors. Apparently, her mother also died while she was in the nursing rehab facility. 15,000 people lost their lives in nursing homes. It doesn't look like prosecutors are taking this seriously. They're basically protecting Cuomo. We are disappointed in the judicial system. And Assemblyman Ron Kim said Cuomo isn't out of the woods yet. Kim, chairman of the Assembly Aging Committee, said he considered the ongoing probes by federal prosecutors and Attorney General James more serious threats to Cuomo than the Manhattan DA's inquiry. Cuomo used his executive power. Oh, imagine that. Someone using their executive power Imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. To suppress nursing home deaths while chasing a 5.1 million book deal. Sooner or later, the truth will come out, and that's coming from Kim. So again, like I said, he lied about the numbers. The Fed's probe is still examining the Cuomo's administration's actions relating to the nursing homes and other long-term care facilities after thousands of their residents died. The FBI also interviewed state officials about Cuomo's 5.1 million profit-making pandemic book. Well, what do you know? American Crisis Leadership Lessons from the 19 pandemic. This guy wrote a book off of this. 5.1 million profit, negotiated and published while he was accused of covering up the total nursing home death toll from the pandemic. So let me come out here for just a second. So basically, to make a long story short, he profited off of their death. He profited off of this. $5.1 million. Those families don't get their loved ones back. They don't get them back. Janice said he also signed legislation protecting those nursing homes from lawsuits from families who lost loved ones due to negligence. And and eliminated over 50,000 of hospital beds at the height of the pandemic. I do remember that. That is true. So we have a problem here. We have a problem, the fact that all these people died. He lied about the numbers and he still got rich off of it. Not saying he was poor to begin with. He was already wealthy, but he increased his wealth off of this. They made it seem like he was some savior, that he was the image that we should be looking towards. I saw Cuomo videos all over TikTok during that time. Everyone saying like, oh, he should run for president. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember people saying that he should run for president? Could you imagine? So they propped him up. They made him seem like he was this hero of New York City during this pandemic. And he lied and still made a profit off of it. He wrote a book about it. This is why I continue to tell people that we need to talk about the class issue. You have all these people in these nursing homes. And like I just told you how much some of these rooms cost. All these people in these nursing homes, their family members lost their loved ones. And someone who was already wealthy just became more rich off of it. And now they don't want to find him at fault. See what happens when you have power and you have money and you're at the top like that? See how easily you can just walk away from something like this? So yes, they did get him in reference to the sexual misconduct cases. They got him with that. But to be honest with you, they almost barely got him with that. Luckily, those women had a lot of evidence against him. If they did not have evidence against him, he would have gotten away with that too. It's disturbing. It's really disturbing. Swanky T has said, Cuomo getting away with these murders is just beyond me. Senior citizens are the most forgotten pop-up in the United States. The most forgotten population in the United States. And this criminal still made money off of people's death and suffering. Exactly, 100%. People don't care about them. They're just like discarded. You never know. You could be there one day. And it's ridiculous to me that he doesn't even have to pay the price for it. She's Black said, this is why Malcolm X called capitalists like Chris blood suckers. 100%. 100%. What else did he hide? What else did he lie about? I mean, let's be real here. This is absolutely, it's disgusting. This man looked right into the camera and told us that this was false. How you mess up twice in 1 year? Like literally, this guy got away with sexual misconduct. He got away with sexual harassment for years. The women who came out against him, this wasn't the first time women came out against him. That's the thing too, I want people to understand. It was just the first time people came out against him and they had evidence, enough evidence. And it took multiple women to come out against him for people to even want to hear the story and take it seriously. This is a problem. So again, I don't understand. I do not understand how they can just wash their hands of this. People are dead. Those people could still be alive. We'll never know because he didn't follow protocol. Push them out of the hospitals, get them out of the emergency rooms, send them back to the nursing home, and let the nurses and the doctors there and the CNAs let them deal with it. Oh, and in the meantime, I'm going to lie about the numbers. How corrupt can you be? It doesn't make any sense. Delthea Simmons said, I did enjoy Cuomo making Trump look even more like a chump, but I never lost sight of the nursing homes and his general governance of state. I never wanted him for president. That would be evil. Well said. Well said. Could you imagine? And so it's embarrassing. It really is. And this is a guy who was governor of New York. And not only was he corrupt in reference to you're taking money from corporations, right? So you have the corruption on that level. But then he's also sexually mistreating women, some of which whom worked with him. So that's two. And then three, you pushed people out of these hospitals and sent them back to the nursing homes where you knew they were better off in the hospital. A lot of times in these nursing homes, they have medical equipment, but not enough if it's a serious situation. So they'll send them to the ER. You brought them back? You think he cares? No care in the world. Doesn't even care about all those people who died. That's why he was able to come on television and lie to you about the numbers. And this was the governor. Oh, man. Harry Smith said, and then he covered it all up, which means he knew what he did was wrong. 100%, Harry. 100%. So it is very troublesome that he's probably going to get off on this. They're not even going to come for him. How does this happen? Money, power. Money and power. Hi so much, Robin. Hello, all. Happy New Year. Everyone give Robin a huge shout out. She does phenomenal work for us over at RBN. She is awesome. So for me, it just, now do you guys see when I say this is why I tell you, a lot of people don't vote. This is why. Because a lot of these politicians, they talk a good game when they're running for a campaign. They're trying to get elected. They say exactly what you want to hear. And then they get in office and they're just corrupt. Just as corrupt as the one who came before them. I don't know.